Half-Brother, 2010, penned by Canadian young adult author Kenneth Oppel, delves into the realms of historical fiction as it unravels the tale of an adolescent navigating life alongside a chimpanzee, an integral part of his father's scientific study. However, when the chimp becomes marginalized within the broader project, our protagonist embarks on a poignant mission to safeguard his newfound companion, whom he now considers his half-brother. This novel has garnered acclaim and prestigious accolades across North America, drawing inspiration from the real-life account of Nim Chimpsky, a chimpanzee raised in the 1970s with an understanding of American Sign Language, ASL. Half-Brother delves into thought-provoking themes encompassing animal rights, individual autonomy, the essence of language, and the intricacies of familial bonds. The story revolves around Ben Tomlin, who recounts how Zahn, the chimp, became a part of their family. Ben's mother, Sarah Tomlin, employed as a research assistant for his father, undertook the task of separating the infant chimp from its mother in New Mexico when it was merely 8 days old. As Ben approaches his 13th birthday, he contemplates the likelihood of receiving lackluster gifts. Residing in Toronto, Canada, Ben finds his surroundings somewhat dull. The family owns an ancient Volvo, and his father, Richard Tomlin, a renowned behavioral psychologist, insists on embarking on a road trip to truly experience the vast expanse of Canada. During this journey, Richard discloses to Ben that the family is relocating to Vancouver at that very moment, prompted by a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity at the local university. Ben is stunned by his parents' sudden decision to uproot their lives without providing any prior notice. Apart from the lack of familiar faces in their new abode, the house they settle in lies outside the city limits, offering limited sources of entertainment. Days after their hurried move, the family's belongings arrive in a truck. It is on this day that Ben encounters Zahn for the first time, instantly harboring a dislike for the primate due to the disruption caused in his life as a consequence of his psychologist parents' endeavor to teach the chimp a language. Half-Brother intertwines heartfelt moments with intricate explorations of human-animal relationships, shedding light on the complexities of personal growth and the resilience of familial connections. Ben's parents hold the belief that treating Zahn as a regular human being is the most effective way for him to acquire language skills. Initially, they shower Zahn with attention, expecting Ben to seamlessly accept this new addition to their family. However, Ben initially harbors resentment towards this arrangement. Over time, though, Ben's fondness for Zahn grows. He finds Zahn endearing as the chimp dons infant clothing, engages in bath time, gets dirty in the sandbox, and amasses a collection of stuffed animals. Yet, despite the researchers' hopes, infant Zahn refuses to conform to human childlike behavior. He despises wearing diapers and resorts to biting when upset. Nevertheless, a bond develops between the two brothers when Ben successfully teaches Zahn his first word in ASL. In the meantime, Ben begins attending school and forms close friendships with members of the Godwin family, who collaborate with his father. David, a boy around Ben's age, becomes a dear friend, while Cal, a few years older, serves as a role model of masculinity that Ben aspires to emulate. Ben also develops a crush on Jennifer Godwin, a popular girl in his class. However, Ben's attempts at romance prove to be less than smooth, resulting in a lack of progress in that department. Ben's sympathy towards Zahn deepens as he witnesses the various indignities the chimp endures, indignities that humans would never have to face. From being relegated to a bed in the basement to being handcuffed to a learning chair as a form of punishment, Zahn's existence becomes a series of trials under the constant scrutiny of a rotating group of graduate students who diligently practice ASL with him. While the researchers grow increasingly frustrated by Zahn's failure to conform to human behavior, Ben believes it is they who are at fault for attempting to change the inherent nature of an animal. The only graduate student who seems to genuinely care for Zahn as a sentient being is Peter, a young man with a hippie appearance, who educates Ben about the animal rights movement. Peter objects to the use of the learning chair and eventually succeeds in having it removed. Ben realizes that both he and Zahn are subject to the influence of external forces beyond their control, namely, adults. They both strive to resist the rules of a social experiment into which they were thrust without explicit consent, grappling with the limitations imposed upon them. Ben's resentment towards his father grows as he witnesses his father's relentless pressure regarding his grades and his excessive attachment to Zahn. As Zahn continues to mature, His increasing strength poses a threat to the research students who mistreat him. There is an underlying sense that Ben's father is controlling and demands subservience from both humans and animals. Ben despises seeing his father exert such dominance over his mother. In response, Ben adopts a tough guy persona both at home and school to counter his father's influence. Simultaneously, Zahn begins to assert himself by using his teeth as a means of resistance when forced to comply with unwanted commands. Despite making notable progress, learning new signs at a steady pace, it fails to impress certain grant-giving organizations. Suddenly, the project faces a funding crisis when Ben's father loses a grant he was confident about receiving. Mr. Tomlin's growing frustration with Zahn, coupled with the financial burden of his upkeep, drives him to seek ways to remove the chimp from their family. One day, while observing Zahn, Mr. Tomlin concludes that Zahn hasn't truly acquired language, but is merely imitating the signals taught by his trainers. He deems the project a failure and arranges for Zahn to be sent to a primate facility in Nevada, under the care of Jack Helson, an American veteran who takes out his unresolved anger on the chimpanzees. Zahn is stripped of his clothing and toys, confined to sleeping in a bear cage, without blankets. Unexpectedly, Ben surprises himself by assuming the role of a caring half-brother, willing to do whatever it takes to maintain contact with Zahn. He confides in Peter about Zahn's relocation to Helson's farm, leading Peter to make the decision to travel south and secure a job at the facility to ensure Zahn's well-being. During their time apart, Peter stumbles upon a letter from a biomedical research center, revealing Helson's agreement to subject the animals to testing for several years. Peter shares the letter with the Tomlin family, prompting them to recognize the urgent need to rescue Zahn from that facility. Through their collective efforts, the Tomlins launch a public fundraising campaign and successfully raise $12,000 to repurchase Zahn. However, Mr. Helson initially refuses to sell Zahn back to them. Determined, the Tomlins share their heartfelt story with various media outlets, igniting a wave of public outrage. The immense pressure and public scrutiny eventually force Mr. Helson to reconsider his stance. Finally, Zahn is reunited with the Tomlin family, but they recognize that they can no longer provide him with the ideal living conditions. Understanding the importance of Zahn's well-being, the Tomlins arrange for him to reside in an animal sanctuary where he can live out the rest of his life in a more suitable environment. Although Ben longs for Zahn to be by his side, he comes to terms with the reality that it is in Zahn's best interest to live in the sanctuary. The novel concludes with a poignant scene where Ben dreams of signing with Zahn. In the dream, Zahn expresses his understanding that the sanctuary is where he belongs, but he will always cherish the memories and connection of what it feels like to be human. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.